All right, hello. Welcome to another Raise3D live stream. We are joined again with Loyal Moses. As always, my name is Nick. Thank you everyone for coming. So for this stream today, we are going to be switching out the nozzle sizes on my machine here and on Loyal's as well. We're going to be trying to get these up and running with combined infill layers. So running two different nozzle sizes at the same time and different layer heights for the outer shells and the internal infill portions. I believe it looks like Loyal's machine just finished updating, so we'll be using the most recent versions for the new calibrations on the E2 to run two different nozzle sizes. And then we'll be jumping into Idea Maker to get the rest of this set up. So without further ado, Loyal, want to go ahead and get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool, awesome. So then we want to start off with first just swapping out the nozzles on the machine, and then we'll get into calibrating.
Okay.
So first things first. When you replaced the nozzles in the E2 last time, did you happen to take the printhead out or replace them within the machine? Because we can kind of do either way.
So I think I did it with them still in the machine.
Still in the machine? Okay. So then
So what do you want to do?
I think for just for this, since it's a little hard to see inside, I'm going to remove the printhead and then we'll do it out here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So first thing, I'm going to go ahead and just turn my machine off so we can unplug these cables, no problem. And then can you get a view up into the machine right here?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Oh, I'm talking to my camera person, seeing if we can hopefully get a better view inside this while I'm getting this out. See, we are almost set up.
No, the print heads are pretty easy to remove.
Oh yeah, so it's just the two bolts on the back. I think we
Yeah.
want to switch over right now.
And then the little harness and...
Yep. So just the one cable on the side that tabs out. And then really all it is the bolts on the back of the frame that hold it into the X-rail. Go up in my hex size again.
Do you have filament loaded in yours?
I do not. I was able to take it out before that. Did you still have the filament in there?
Yep.
Okay. Still work with that at this point.
Right.
Yeah. So I've got my print head off, and then we'll go ahead and take this over to the table and get that nozzle swapped.
No, I appreciate you guys doing this for me.
Yeah, no, it's awesome that I could be here and help out. I love doing this. So I actually have my left print head, just because I'm more standardized to just running, defaults to the left. I'll use the 0.4 for a lot of regular things. If you're working with the right side, that's still going to work out just fine. But just keeping in mind that you'll have that 0.8 on the right, so everything will default, or you'll have it on the left, so things are going to default there. You might need to change it.
Perfect. I went with left.
Yeah, so we're good to go. So then for this with the printhead out, yeah, we're good to go. I've got my right side.
Okay.
And then it's actually, I think it's easiest to work with the hot end out of the rest of the assembly.
Okay.
So go ahead and loosen that silver grub screw in the side, and then that'll just slide out. Now, since yours still has the material in it, it might be a little troublesome to kind of pull this out because I'll have the rest of the material in there. So if you want, and if you have the tools for it, you can probably just keep yours in that section. I'm gonna work with just this one out here. Let me know if you can get the filament out.
Okay, yep, no, I'm good.
Yeah, awesome, cool. All right. So then go ahead and hold on to our hot end. And then take my 8mm socket. Let's see. This one is pretty nasty. Don't know if I'll be able to get this out of here.
Is yours pretty tight, or?
Mine's pretty tight. I've also got a lot of filament built up on this, so it doesn't quite want to fit my ratchet over that. I think I'm gonna go grab. Oh, let me see. Almost got it. Yeah. Let me go grab another set of pliers, and I can probably break that first, and then I'll be able to ratchet it off.
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're just going to break that nozzle free. There we go. And what we're doing is we're replacing in I don't know what Nick is replacing his with, but we're replacing my 0.4 with a 0.8 that Raise3D generously sent over here.
Yeah, I'm also replacing mine with a 0.8.
And so here's the the 0.4 we just pulled out. Do you guys know how many nozzles he sent me?
Yeah, so we sent you 5.
Yeah.
So if you, I know you had multiple E2s. I wanted to see if you wanted to, if these work out, we can replace more of them with those. And then if you want to do combined infill on the pros, I included the extra one. So. And
that's awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Always happy to help out. All right, so there we go. And I have my nozzle out now.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool. So then new nozzle goes in pretty simply. Tighten that back down.
What we're doing is we're just holding this heat block here with wrench, and then we're just tightening this down, this nozzle.
Yeah, and I typically just go to where it gives me just enough, just so it's tight. I don't want to crank it down too much. I've actually ended up kind of shearing 1 or 2 nozzles on a handful of machines, not just these. So
I did it on a Pro 2.
Yeah.
My first nozzle change, I thought, I think I can get a little bit tighter, and no.
Yeah, it's always that, like, I'm gonna push it a little bit more, just a little bit, and then
yeah.
Yep. All right, so got new nozzle in there, tighten that back down, and then that.
And you're seating that nozzle back in there all the way down, right?
Yeah, so I have the nozzle basically back in to where it would tighten back down. Yeah, I have the heat block back in there, and then
all the way down, push down.
Just keeping the nozzle gap between the upper lip of the nozzle and the block. Should be a little gap there, so I know that I'm tightening it against the throat tube.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see that.
Tighten down a little grub screw.
Yeah, and then tighten down that grub screw on the side. You should be good. Put that back in the machine. That's tight in there. So go ahead and move it back over.
Oh, it's pretty quick to do it out of the printer.
Yeah, I think it's just easier. You know, you have a lot more room to work with, so I don't have to kind of get up in here and work around the frame and the enclosure.
Yeah.
Let's go right back into the top section.
Yeah, I was afraid to do any modifications to these machines until I broke it the first time.
Until having to take the parts out.
Yeah, the flex plate back in and started to print. So
yeah,
but I was really afraid because these things the precision on these things was absolute perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to mess it up.
Yeah, it's in my experience, it's been, you know, they do come basically perfectly fine tuned. But it's still really easy to get them, you know, back into that full calibration that we expect.
Yeah.
Things are built in, and then all designed pretty well, so it's all easy enough to work on. I don't need to come in here and disassemble or get behind motors and stuff to do like a hot end replacement or anything. Yeah. So I've got my printhead back in, cable reattached, filament tube back in, and then I'm gonna go ahead and turn mine back on. And then we'll run through the calibration wizard for both of these.
What?
So, and then running through the onboard calibration, it does want material loaded in both printheads. So
yeah, I've got Phalen.
Okay. Maybe we just want to reload the one because we had that material in it, but the other one should be good.
Yeah.
And I got to get mine set up. So we'll get 205 set for both of these. And then once those get heated up, run that through. And then let's see. We could also probably, I haven't tried to do, I guess it would just be running in dual. I haven't tried to do duplication in mirror mode with two different nozzle sizes yet. I'm unsure. I don't think it would be able to because it's different widths for all those. So running these two different nozzle sizes would pretty much just be locking it in for dual printing, and then duplication in mirror mode is kind of on the side.
But then eventually, like I said, we'll switch out.
Yeah, and we can switch it back out and go back in. But I want to have my material loaded before we run into the calibrations. So yeah, with my motors disabled, let's go ahead and down a little bit, get this started, and then run our load sequences.
Almost heated up.
Yep.
Looks like you are.
Yeah, I'm there. So I'll go ahead and run. Hands.
All right, we are loading. We should be shooting any second.
Let's see. I'm almost there.
Look at that big old fat stream of filament. Oh my goodness.
I think you beat me.
Holy moly.
Yeah, running that awesome. 0.8 nozzle? Yeah.
I'm just going to let that go just because that's awesome.
All right, I'm loaded on my 0.4 side. We'll get that going for our right.
And while you're doing that, over here, in the Pro Tube, we have a what is it, a 59-hour print. It's a giant pumpkin by the designer Nick Dynamo.
I don't know Nick Dynamo.
Yeah, so on Twitter he's known as Bugman_140, but he's in the UK and he's such a talented guy. And so he created this. It's on the Prusa Printers website on their STO website, but it's a ginormous pumpkin. So, and you can tell I like pumpkins.
Oh yeah, we're getting there too. I have a couple around the office, but we haven't done one quite that big. I think I'll probably get on something else on my own and run some large prints in the produce. But that does look really, really good so far.
Yeah, so then this was printed on the Pro Tube.
Nice.
Just a big old monster pumpkin, you know. I think this was about a 20-hour print.
Only 20 hours, wow.
Yeah, about 20 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really good. So let's see if we want to move kind of down into the center. We'll go through some of the calibrations for these now. So I've got both hot ends loaded. So if we want to get into our maintenance tab in the settings, and then start running the offset calibrations. So
maintenance tab?
Yeah, so in maintenance, through the settings.
Maintenance, yep.
Yep, and then
offset calibration.
Yeah, so we're running the offset calibrations, and then
Oh,
in the update,
awesome.
Yeah, that came in. So now we set the nozzle sizes for the left and the right. We can run through these.
Okay, so I'm a 0.8 and 0.4.
Yep. And I'm running the 0.4 to 0.8. So then...
Which one did you do? The left C probe first? Yep.
Yeah, left Z probe. Basically, I'll just run through kind of all the procedures from left to right with the Z probe first, and then get it in for dual. And then pretty much once all of these are set up, then we'll be going into Idea Maker. Since these are gonna, it's got to run kind of the full test prints. We can probably jump into Idea Maker at some point and then just go through the printer settings for it. But right now, I'm just getting mine started. And yeah, you've got a pretty good view on that camera there. I do like that view.
Well, at the risk of making somebody sick, I'm going to slide this in a bit.
I peeked at the chat. Johnson was asking if the E2 or Pro 2 is easier to maintain. I would say that, I mean, in my opinion, the E2s are probably easier just running through like the calibrations because it does a lot of it for you. The Pro 2s, if you're more comfortable kind of working with, actually working on the hot end and removing the side fans, that one might be more comfortable. But honestly, they're both still really, really easy to maintain and recalibrate. Lubrication is pretty much the same.
Yeah, we've noticed that too. The E2 for us, having the top open so conveniently, everything is right there.
Mm-hmm.
The automatic bed leveling, that stuff's nice. On the Pro 2, there's quite a bit more shrouding and shielding around the hard that you got to remove in order to access it.
Yeah.
So no, the E2's the maintenance seems to be a little bit easier, but that's going to change with the Pro 3.
Yeah, so with the Pro 3s now, we went into swappable, I guess the swappable extruder kind of units. So basically those are even easier to remove than the E2 heads. And the Pro 3 will have all the same kind of built-in calibration stuff. So that one will take care of all its leveling and then help through the adjustments just like the E2 does.
Yeah, so what we're doing right here is we have a feeler gauge. I have a Raise3D feeler gauge. I'm sliding that between the build plate and the hot end and keep lowering it down until we make contact.
Yeah, and then I usually go for still just where I can pass it back and forth and feel it making contact, but not have too much force that it's kind of fighting me, or definitely not where it's too low that I can't get it underneath at all.
Okay, yeah.
But just
I can barely feel it.
And I've got a bit of pressure, so I can back mine off. It's there.
Okay, so I can just barely feel it when I slip it in there.
Yep. Do more steps back off a little bit more. And then after that initial kind of first setting off of the gauge, then we'll see in a second, it starts to print out the lines at varying heights.
Yeah.
And then from there, that basically fine tunes what height we want to go for, based off of the actual print results, not just following like the raw values.
We need to clean the inside of our machines.
Yeah, we do.
Your ties are a bit dirty there.
I know.
Yeah, that's a good sign. It means we're using them.
Definitely. It's only the machine will only ever be as clean as the day it was purchased.
No, I'm excited. I'm excited to play around with that different layer height on the infill to see if we can reduce the time for our production parts.
Yeah, I mean, it does definitely cut down on time for production parts, and once we get the exteriors down, you really can't tell the difference just looking at a part whether or not it had the combined infill on or was run with the full time.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I'll go ahead and if it's a kind of medium-sized part, or if I'm cool keeping the print time the same, use the difference in time saved on the infill to run the outer shell at a lower layer height, and then basically get like a little bit better quality.
Yeah, so we get so we keep the same finish, because that's what we want. We want the same reveal, the same finish.
Yep. Yeah, same on the outside, but completely different. And I think because of the larger infill diameter, it might make the parts a little stronger. I haven't taken them to the test and done measurements on whether or not it makes them stronger. But they do kind of feel like they have a little bit more heft. Yeah, and then theoretically because of the thicker lines.
Yeah, and we have a jig that we do our testing. So yeah, we'll print it out. We'll test it.
Awesome. Yeah, love to see what you guys find out about running them like that.
That is a lot of filament. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I wish I had a better view. Let's see, maybe I can't do this. Hold on. Okay, let's go here. And then I'm gonna pick this up so we don't make any mistake.
There you go.
Good old box of Raise3D premium film camera stand.
Yeah, you can pick them up now. Every spool of filament comes with a free camera stand.
Oh my goodness, that is a lot.
Yeah. Are you? How do you feel about running just full scale parts in like 0.6 layer heights now?
Well, if we could and we could get a good finish on it, we would do it.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, but if that's what we want to test, we'll do it. Let's go for it.
Okay. I'm just thinking later because we'll be doing the combined infill for this one because we really want to keep that outer surface finish. But just for like one-off prototypes, they need to be produced as fast as possible. Putting up the layer height, now you have the option to do that as well.
And to crank out parts that fast is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think anyone watching is surprised if they know me and pumpkins that what color is in my print.
I know we've been running the little ghost models around here as well. So I got a lot of white laying around. But those have been my favorite in our small decorations. Just running either we haven't done a big one yet. I think we're probably going to plan on doing maybe a full scale one of those ghosts. But right now I have a bunch of really little ones that I just kind of have hidden around the office.
Nice.
So then let's see. I'm done with this. And then
so you're going. Which one? You're choosing the first one that is a. Excuse me. The first one that's an entire squiggly line.
Yeah, the first one that's kind of entirely wavy. So we actually are kind of looking at what I got off of the machine.
What focus?
Get the focus. Yeah, I know.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
There we go. So it's a little hard for the camera just because the details on this are so small. Can we get closer?
Oh yeah, no, I can see it right there. Yeah.
All right, yeah. So I'm looking at first one that's completely wavy would be this one right about here. looking at layer 1, 5, 9, doing layer 10, and then just typing that back into the screen to let it know what height it needs to go to.
Okay, so you're 10, right? Okay.
Yeah, I'm at 10 for that layer. And then basically just do the same thing for the other printhead.
Looks like I'm going to be 9.
I'll be just behind you. And so my value set, and then just running through the next one for the right side.
Okay, as soon as mine finishes printing, I'll be under 9s.
Nice.
Did you put it in a new sheet, or did you clean that one that quick?
Oh, I just cleaned this one that quick, really. Like,
Okay.
kind of take them off with a, because basically they just come off really quick. I can wreck them all off with the tip of my finger.
Yeah. Yeah, so mine is 9, so I just have to plus. Next. All right, and then next one is the right zero, right?
Yep. Yeah. So it'll be pretty much the same thing, just running through on the right side.
Oh my goodness, that is a lot of plastic. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
What a cool little test.
Yeah. So we're getting a couple questions on upgrades and things for the Pro 2 to the Pro 3.
Sure.
I know that things with the Pro 3, it's really been like a kind of redesigned a lot to the extent that if we were to upgrade a Pro 2 into a Pro 3, we would need to replace basically everything except for the frame and the touchscreen. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, there's not an upgrade path for the Pro 2 to the Pro 3. Someone did ask about running the flexible plate on a Pro 2. We don't officially have one, but I know that the company, what? No, yeah, we're kind of working on maybe seeing if we can get a different plate for the Pro 2s to have a flex plate. I know that there are some third-party versions of it that will have a separate thing that can be bought and put on top of the rigid plates as a flex plate.
Yeah, I know. The upgrading the E2s is fantastic. Upgrading the Pro 2 to a Pro 3, that's just way too much. So I'm not interested in that. But we are interested in the Pro 3, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's. I would love for you to have one because they are. I do really like them over the Pro 2 series because it's really just basically a Pro 2 with more features.
Yeah. Okay, so feeler gauge time.
Yep. And I think you're running brass nozzles for all the machines, right? Just the standard 0.4s?
I'm looking at the right side nozzle in this one, and I think I put this is the one I modified.
Mm-hmm.
This one this is a hardened steel on the right side of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you're running hardened on both of those printheads now then? Yeah.
So what we're doing here is we're just we're checking with the feeler gauge, and then we're lowering the printhead here.
Yep. Just going incrementally until we get to a position where it touches the card, and then once it makes contact, we can let the machine run through and do its line test.
There we go. Okay, so Chris Russell's here, practical printing. And then Lucas Sales. DB3D Dan, that's awesome.
I just saw Practical Printings up there. Yeah, I'm gonna be Chad for Halloween. If anyone, he never shows up on camera, but he does run a lot of the chat through the website. So if you're ever online talking to us in the chat box, that's Chad.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm gonna steal his name and also his chat boxes for Halloween.
Yeah, Johnson NG says, "What you may have already read this one, but I missed it." Johnson says, "You wish the Pro 2 had flex bed."
Yeah, that's why I was mentioning kind of the upgrade path as like the third party option, and the Pro 3 will have that. Yeah.
The 3D misprinter. Maybe I already do it.
Mungo's asking about the video. Yeah, Chad was in the 3D printing nerd video. He's the one that we go by his cubicle while I'm riding on Joel's back.
And Patrick's here. That's good. Good to see you, Patrick.
Yeah, good afternoon, Randall. We're a little bit earlier than afternoon, but we're getting there.
Practical Printing wants me to order a Pro 3, but send it to him first to break it in.
To break it in, yeah.
Yeah, because all these printers need a good break in time. Builders Market here. This is great. A lot of people. Mungo.
Yeah, glad to see everyone.
Incendium. It's good to see you. Oh, yeah. DB3D Dan wants to know when I'm getting, when I'm done with the Pro 2. He'll take it.
Yeah, we'll just send him back over.
Because when you get a Pro 3, the Pro 2 just becomes useless, right? So you just,
I mean, honestly, yeah, it's just the Pro 3 makes the Pro 2 completely obsolete. We stopped selling the Pro 2s early. No, we still are selling the Pro 2s.
Yeah, of course. Oh, they're fantastic machines.
Yeah, no, we'll actually keep supporting them because, like the N series, the ones before the Pro 2s.
Oh yeah.
We still get tickets in for those all the time. I still have a couple in here that I'll print on, once I use all the other machines in the office. But yeah, no, we still have those going. And then we plan on keeping the Pro 2s running long after the Pro 3s are released as well.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I think actually pre-orders for the Pro 3s are going up on November 1st, right? The Pro 3s are going up for pre-order on November 1st, right? Still? Yeah, that's still a day. Yeah.
All right, so Keisha is asking, sorry if they missed it, but why should the company buy a Pro 3 over a Pro 2?
Oh, so a lot of that kind of comes down to whether or not you want those extra kind of usability features. So the Pro 3s will have a flexible plate, automatic bed leveling and probing similar to the E2s, and then a redesigned printhead system with the swappable hot ends. So if you wanted to have just an easier time or kind of less downtime between running different nozzle sizes or just having regular nozzles and hardened nozzles, they basically just flip latch up, pull out, and then you can put a new one in really, really quick. So that's nice. The overall kind of printing capabilities of both machines are really, really good. So if you are more comfortable just working with the kind of stock touchscreen and the rigid plate, then the Pro 2s are still going to be cheaper than the Pro 3s. So that would be a good option to kind of just, save on a bit of costs, go without the features. But the extra features in the Pro 3 do add a lot to the machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Randall, so he says, when purchasing these printers, if any parts need to be replaced or the parts difficult to replace, it seems that the surrounding case would interfere. Randall, that's exactly what we just showed. If you were here just a few minutes ago, as you can see, if you're looking at my screen, you can see my hand down here inside the printer. And you have full access into the top of these E2s. And removing the printhead is done in less than 60 seconds.
Yeah. And if let's see. I have one of the printheads over here too. What we were doing before, the entire printhead just comes out. There's 2 bolts that basically mount this back section. So if I do need to replace any portions of the printhead, it's just undoing these 2 bolts, the cable, and the tubing that feeds into the top. I can pull the entire printhead out, and then should just be these 2 bolts for the covering. So we take those off really quick.
And it's so nice. It's so convenient to be able to pull that out of the printer, sit it on the desk, and work on it.
Yeah, and then just work on this. But getting in here, I know it looks like everything's really kind of encased. And
I was at 9 again on my calibration.
Oh, 2 for 2.
Yep.
Yeah. There we go. So that covering comes off, and then I have access to the individual fans. This top covering covers the board and all the connections. So it's still really, really easy. Once I have this off, to just take it in here, and I can work on all the pieces without anything obstructing this machine. And then it'll be something pretty similar for the Pro 3s. Those have, of course, the lid that can be removed from the top. All of the extruder assemblies above the frame, so if I'm working on anything in there, it's pretty easily accessible. And then again, those the hot ends just come basically right out, and I can work on those just like the E2 printheads.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice and fast. Romano, do you think a converting kit from E2 to E2CF is going to be available?
Kit from the E2 to the E2CF. We haven't decided yet. I think it's still being discussed internally whether or not there's going to be a full upgrade kit for it.
Wonderful. Okay, and we start the next one, the bed leveling.
So yeah, if you want to go ahead and just keep going. I ran mine and wasn't able to get a clean line and a wavy line. Mine were all wavy. So I'm rerunning this one, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, if you definitely keep going.
So I'll go ahead and do the bed leveling here.
Yep.
Don't forget to clean the build plate. Almost forgot. And here we go. We'll go ahead and get it started. A refreshment break.
Let's see. You have ID Maker up, right? We can get started on setting that up because I think I can't be here all day. I got another thing coming up at 1. So if we want to get started on the ID Maker portions while we're doing these calibrations, we can get started on that. So and we're good. So I'm up in ID Maker.
Okay.
And then what we want to do for setting up the E2 with the new nozzles. Going into E2, cute. And then the printer settings for the E2. And then on this, first thing we want to do is just change the nozzle diameter so it matches whatever is actually on the machine.
I see it. I don't see anything on your screen. You're showing.
Oh yeah, let me see. So I had the share up for I had it up for the stream, but not up for you. So you should be able to see my ID Maker now.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah. Go ahead and get this out of the way. We're up and running. All right. So what we want to do first is change the nozzle diameters in the E2 printer settings to match the machine itself. So I've got my 0.8 on my right. If you've got it on the left, change the left one. And then we can save that. And then in the new templates, I'll go ahead and just pull in a quick model. Switch us back to our regular printing mode. And then we'll be working in the template. So working with the two different nozzle sizes in the same print, I need to make basically a whole separate template, and then we'll modify that one to be just the specific combined infill template.
Okay.
So we want to work with the default 0.2 layer height. I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate that one, and I'll call this one our combined layers, combined infill. So now I've got the separate combined infill template. And then getting into the advanced settings, just the first things that come up right off the bat. Since we're running two different nozzles, we'll need to do the left and right extruder. So enabling the right extruder configuration lets it run different settings for each version. If that's unchecked, then it just defaults everything back to the left.
Okay.
So set our new extrusion widths. And then this might take a little bit of fine tuning for how to get the combined infill to make sure that it's still flowing all right. But we might want to modify the retraction material amount in the future because we're using a larger nozzle size. A little bit more retraction would probably help.
Makes sense.
So I can bump that up to from 0.5 to 1. And then all these other ones are still going to be pretty good to stick with for now. The other one we want to do under infill is start modifying the combined infill layers. So we've got 0.2 layer heights off of the 0.4 nozzle. And we've got 0.8s on the other one, so we should be able to do 0.6 layers no problem. This setting is just going to multiply that layer height. So 3 combined infill layers will give us 0.6 infill on the internal portions. And then we also want to change this from if it's basically what I'm doing, I'm running it on the right side. So just set the infill to whichever extruder has the larger nozzle size.
Okay.
And then solid fill we can leave. That should be that should stick with pretty much the primary nozzle for the rest of the shells. We'll keep those the same. Supports are just going to be taken over by either the main extruder, so we can keep those the same. Temperatures, it's going to take a little bit of fine tuning as well. So far I've been running the material at defaults 2.5. I'm running at 210 or 215, so I'll go ahead and bump that temperature up. And then the speeds. Since we're running the larger nozzle size, we actually want to bring the infill speed down quite a bit. So we'll go from the default 70 for the infill speed, and I'll bring it down to 40 millimeters a second.
So down to what?
Down to 40, yeah.
Okay.
It's much slower speed, but because of the addition of the layer heights, it's still going to cut down on print time.
Okay.
And then under the ooze, so all the tests that I've been running so far, I've been running them without the wipe wall and wipe tower. So we can just turn both of those off.
Okay.
And then that should be enough to get started. So I'll go ahead and I'll actually bring in a taller model so we can see differences between those two. So we pull this one in. So yeah, this is the charging handle that I was talking about earlier.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. So
all one to two, they literally cut down by 50%. Wow.
Yeah, so this one I was running it on the Pro 2s earlier with 11 hours for just the standard 0.2 nozzle or 0.2 layer height the entire way, and then switching it to, I was running that with a 1 millimeter nozzle and a 0.8 infill, so 4 combined infill layers. That brought it down to 6.5 hours, but just running through what we can see for this one. So this one, usually when I'm running the combined nozzles like this, it gives me a warning because it's seeing the differences in the nozzle size. But since I'm only running things on the left and that one has the correct nozzle, I don't really need to worry about that warning.
Real quick, I had to go back to the extruder settings.
Mm.
What extrusion width were you running?
So the extrusion width should match the nozzle size. So back in the main tab. So I got 10.5 hours for the default one. Yeah, just jumping back in here. Yeah, under the extrusion width, for you it would be left extruder 0.8 and then right extruder 0.4.
0.4.
Yeah. Okay, so then, yeah, I had sliced this with the standard template. We're looking at 10.5 hours. And then just going over the combined infill, got our 3 layers. Everything else should be good. I've got my infill set to the right. So since I have my left hot end with the 0.4 nozzle, it defaults all the parts to the left extruder, which is what I want those shells to print with. Since you're running it on the right, you would still keep the infill extruder as the left, but we'll just change the part body over to the right. Yeah. And then let me see the platform edition. So we're just running a skirt. That can kind of be handled by either extruder. So if you want to just kind of keep it consistent, switch that one to, you would switch it to the right, and then I would just do the skirt at the 0.4. And then since we're doing the combined infills, it's still seeing that nozzle size is kicking in with a 0.2 layer height. So it's giving me a warning for the extrusion being different, but since I know the settings are right, I can go ahead and still see.
I just got the same one.
Yeah, it's because it's seeing that difference in nozzle size, but it is technically correct. So yeah, I brought this down from 10.5 hours to just under 6, 5 hours and 54 minutes. And then in the slice preview, you should be able to see basically the same thing that I'm looking at once we get in here, is that we are running those 0.2 outer layers. If I change the view from structure to layer height, then we can scroll through here. And then it is running those different heights for the infill and the shells. I believe the preview can only display like one particular layer height for that. So actually switching to extruder color. Oh, let me see. Sorry, I had both of these switched to the right. So I was just doing a full right extruder print there, my bad. This is why
so this pumpkin I'm looking at was I want to say like 2.5 or 3 hour print, and it's now showing at 1 hour and 26 minutes.
Nice. Yes, that's still cut it down quite a bit.
Oh yeah, we cut it in half.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. There we go. Now I'm running those all the right heights. So different colors. And then what it should be going through here. Yeah, there we go. So if I'm going through the preview in only showing a current layer, it basically shows me that I have one layer where it's doing that thicker infill section, and then 2 layers of just shells, and then another one where it's refilling in that infill.
That still looks good.
All right. And then, all right, hold on. Let me go ahead and we'll switch back. And we're back. Okay, so now I've got a line that we can measure off of. Looking at, I actually hit line 8 this time.
All right, I'm uploading a little pumpkin to the printer with a big fat set of layers.
Are you running the combined info one now?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So this will be interesting.
Yeah.
Select the interface, uploading queue, select the pumpkin, and hit print. So. And then let's see. Yeah, I appreciate that practical printing. If you're liking what you're seeing, hit that thumbs up. That helps everyone.
Yeah. Mungo feels my pain with having to switch the extruder back and forth. Yeah, that's why I always go through the preview. I made a habit of it. Just anytime something is sliced, preview it, go through all the left and right extruders.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I've made that mistake many times. So the 3D Mist printer is asking how many points does the level do on the E2? I know that there's a setting for that. You can do a pretty exhaustive one or a basic one. So did you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So typically, if the machine is idle on the utility screen, the tab for leveling, that gives you the option to either run 6 or 3-point leveling, so you can kind of get a read of the whole mesh, or just the 9 points. And there's also settings in there to, yeah, so I just finished up mine. If we can pan up to the flatness here, I've got just running the 9-point. We can either run 9 points, or in the settings, there's other options to change how the probe. There we go. Yeah, so I've got my mesh data up here for what it just probed, checking the leveling. Leveling looks good, so I can go ahead and move through the nozzle offsets. Let's see.
Yeah, I love the display.
It's very nice. I'm a big fan of the sleep mode here, so it'll turn the lights in the screen off while it is printing. So yeah. It's very, very nice to keep it like in.
That's one feature that was missing on the Pro 2.
On the Pro 2s, yes, it was missing there. It will be included on the Pro 3s.
Oh, very good. Yeah, being able to hit a button and turn lights off.
Yep, yeah. So actually, instead of having the built-in dedicated button, it's actually part of the touchscreen display. It's just a symbol up there that'll put it into night mode.
Love it.
Yep.
So Rodolfo is saying he has trouble with the build tag. Put something in the build tag, maybe on build tag means like glue or some adhesive.
Yeah.
What we run on our build tag, we do a lot of production. What we end up doing on the build tag to kind of create a layer to release the parts is we do use a light layer of glue stick, and that's extended the life of our build tag by 4-fold easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll do the same thing. Typically, if I need the extra adhesion, just running glue stick over it or magic goo. And then that's more than enough to get the parts to stick down.
Yeah, and the parts release nice and easy and save that build tag.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then Video Factory asking about the flatness. I forget exactly what the maximum allowable flatness is. I think if it's greater than 0.25. But the machine will actually, the machine knows more, and it will actually tell you that you need to go in and readjust the actual points on the bed itself and bring the flatness back in if it is too far out. But I think it's close to, if it's greater than 0.25 or 0.3, then it wants to be reset. Let's see. Go ahead.
And what temperature? So we normally run a lot of our PLAs at 215 to 220.
Mm-hmm.
Well, since I'm running a 0.8, what temperature would you recommend for that then?
So typically, if you're running PLAs at 215 to 220, I would keep it within that range, but more than likely probably closer on the 220 side.
225?
On the 220 side, so closer to the top, but 220 should still be fine.
Okay. And the reason for that is because you're extruding more plastic. So there's a heat transfer that happens between the hot end and the filament. So you have to have that little extra bit of energy in the hot end to do that, right?
Exactly, yeah. So it's just helping kind of ease the extra flow needed when running a larger nozzle.
Okay. If anyone can see mine, so we print most of our things with rafts, and so any variations that might be in the build plate, regardless, the raft clears those zeros out.
I've got my print file loaded up here, so go ahead and let that run.
What is the maximum temperature you should use in the build for a longer build tech durability? I really don't know. We run a lot at 90 and 100, a lot of 60 C on the build plate. And like I said, we don't really have any. We had separation before we were using glue stick, and that was simply because as we removed the parts from the build tack, it was pulling the build tack up and away. But like I said, once we switched to glue stick, the build tack lasts forever.
Yeah, having the extra adhesion definitely helps preserve that surface. I still will print. I mean, the maximum temperature for the beds is 110, but running like 100 for ABS. So you would still keep the bed at that temperature. Typically, if you are, printing ABS at that high temp, while the bed is still heated, if you're trying to remove parts, then I've gotten a little bit more bubbling under that case. So if you want to try and reduce the bubbling, let it fully cool down and then remove the parts. And then also, if you're on the Pro 2s, using pretty much as thin of a spatula as you can find, just to get under the parts and separate them without having to pull up and get off the surface.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
And then someone's asking why would they? They're saying that the IDX is a pro, not a con, right? So they're considering an E2 over Pro 2. What would cause someone to get a Pro 2 or 3 over an E2?
Typically, it's the difference in volume. Since the E2 runs, the dimensions for the E2's build volume are 240 by 240 in the Y and Z axis, and then 330 across the X. So if you need much taller parts, then the Pro 2 is going to be pretty much your only choice just because of the Z height on the E's limited. The other thing kind of comes into, I guess, the way that they print differently. If you don't really need the IDEX system for duplication in mirror mode, the Pro 2 gives you that larger build volume, still great print quality. So it's just kind of little decisions like that that lead to whether or not you would take a Pro over an E. Oh, and then they're asking if we can use Pro 2 G-codes for Pro 3s. No, you would need to reslice those G-codes using the Pro 3's profile. In the newest version of Idea Maker, the Pro 3s are, I believe, already included. So if you wanted to see the difference in those profiles, we can run those as well. The Pro 2s also run a different motion controller board than the Pro 3s do. So there's a whole difference in firmware that needs to be accounted for, and the G-codes need to be resliced. The E2CF, what are its nozzles going to use? So we have new nozzles for the E2CF. They're running silicone carbide nozzles. And basically we've been running those since we got the machine, say earlier this year, just constantly running the abrasive carbon fibers that we have, and we have not had any problems with those nozzles yet. So they definitely withstand a lot of wear. We're expecting to get over 1,000 hours of print time out of those.
Oh, good.
Yeah. All right.
That's great.
So I think since we have both our machines running, I can probably go ahead and wrap up our stream here for today. Well, you are going to be streaming on your own later today as well, right?
I will. So I'm going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back in here, and we'll be on Twitch. And the easiest way to get over there is it's lm.show, and that'll take you right to my Twitch stream, and we'll be streaming here shortly. We're gonna work. We're gonna print on the E2. We're gonna talk about it, and talk about a whole bunch of other things 3D printing related.
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah. So highly encourage everyone to hop over, join Lil on his end, and thank you everyone for joining us here. We will see you on our next stream.